Remember just a few years ago, it seemed like yesterday to me, Jon Fetterman of Pennsylvania, well, he had some serious health problems. And attacking Jon Fetterman of Pennsylvania was ableist. I should know. People attacked me for talking about his health issues. Talking about his hospitalization for depression risked hurting strides made in mental health awareness. Questioning the fitness of a man who had trouble forming sentences after a stroke was not allowed. You were ableist. It's terrible. But now the long knives are out from the very same people who defended him. An article released by New York Magazine, doesn't get more liberal than that, details a letter written by Fetterman's former chief of staff, titled All by Himself, and this is from author Ben Terrace. A 1,600-word email came with the subject concerns, and it contained a list of them, from the seemingly mundane, he eats fast food multiple times a day, to the scary, we do not know if he is taking his meds, and his behavior frequently suggests he is not. Now, back in the day, you were not allowed to ask Jon Fetterman about his meds or anything. You were just only supposed to celebrate him getting out of the hospital and doing better and seeking help. That was all that was allowed. But now CNN is very interested. They chased him down, and Fetterman answered some questions about the article.
It's a one-source hit piece, and it involved maybe 2 or 3 anonymous disgruntled staffers saying just absolute false things.
Have you been keeping up with that, taking your medication?
Man, my doctors are like, Jon is great.
With us now, Charlie Dent, senior advisor for Our Republican Legacy, former Pennsylvania congressman, and Jon Michael Raasch, political reporter for the Daily Mail. Big exclusive out today on this. So I want to start with you. Beyond these accusations, if you will, were you guys able to substantiate that there are any real problems with Fetterman?
So I talked to a couple sources that work in the same building as him, that see him often. And they told me that, one, they haven't seen his wife around recently. And she's formerly been around with him a lot during his health struggles, namely his stroke in 2022.
Yeah, when he was in the hospital, she was down all the time and everything else.
Exactly. But they've also said that they've seen him wandering the halls, you know, kind of taking some breaks during the day, going outside, getting some sun, chilling on his phone. And some of these staffers have told me it's kind of odd to see a senator, normally whose schedules are bustling, right, to the brim, they can't fit people in, to see him go and sit and enjoy the nice air outside while everyone else is around.
I mean, to be fair, he's been known to march to a different drummer a lot. I mean, this is a guy who sort of does what he wants and wanders around in a hoodie anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, there's no inference that he's walking out like a zombie, is there?
So in my conversations with him, I can talk about that. He seems okay, but he still has to use his iPhone every time he interfaces with anybody, right? So you're trying to ask him a question just about whatever casual topic of the day, and he has to stop, pull out his phone, and have kind of that dictate the conversation.
Right, and he's gotten better with that. There was a time he was having a really hard time after a stroke. Now he's gotten better. But the way this is being talked about has changed radically, right? And I think about, for example, Mehdi Hassan, longtime progressive activist. This is in 2022. Imagine being a sentient human being who really believes Jon Fetterman can't be a senator because he had a stroke, but a stroke-free Herschel Walker can be a senator. And you were not allowed to attack him for using his iPad. In fact, it was sort of celebrated that this is a guy who was overcoming all these things. This is from Mehdi Hassan earlier today. This email a year ago from Fetterman's former chief of staff, and his entire piece from Ben Terrace makes clear that Fetterman should not be serving in the Senate. Charlie, I don't think it's a surprise that people radically change their opinions and have no shame with the hypocrisy. Why has the left turned on Fetterman so much?
Well, in part because Jon Fetterman has evolved from a Bernie Sanders progressive Democrat to something else, one who, has taken a very strong pro-Israel stand with a party's base that isn't there. Also, he went down to Mar-a-Lago. So I think partly because he is seen as shifting politically. But I also think, we have to be careful and sensitive how we talk about his health. He got, when he had that massive stroke, you may remember during that campaign, his campaign was accused of not fully revealing the extent of his disability.
I was at the debate where he couldn't finish a sentence.
It was, I said at the time of the debate, that was a disqualifying performance. And then, of course, all the ableist comments came out. And then, of course, after he was elected, he had that bout of clinical depression, was hospitalized for a time, and now it's his former chief of staff who has set off this latest kerfuffle. But I think his bigger problem is it's a political challenge. He's underwater significantly with Democrats. I mean, the Bravo group, their morning scrapple poll, they do it monthly in Pennsylvania. It says he has 25% of Democrats have a strongly disapprove of him, about 30% somewhat disapprove. So he's underwater with Democrats, and he's about even with Republicans, but that's soft support. So I think he's in a real political box right now.
Jon Michael Raasch of the Daily Mail. Have you guys done any reporting on this wild flip from the same liberals who were saying anyone who questions his health was an ableist to now saying he needs to resign?
So we have. We've talked to some folks, namely in the Senate, trying to say, what do you think about his political aspirations kind of flipping? Obviously, his support of Israel has been, all over the news, and that separated him from a lot of people in his party. And folks that are in the Senate, the Democratic caucus, are separating themselves from him over this support. So we've done some reporting on that, and also just trying to look at his evolution, right? You were saying he was more of a progressive Bernie Sanders type when he ran. I covered that campaign. He was bringing in people, straight from the union factories out in Braddock, straight to his campaign events. And he was really, singing the tunes of a true progressive. Now it's like he's, a moderate, centrist Democrat getting close to the Republicans every day. So he's totally singing a new tune. And his colleagues seem to be
they do. So I think it's worth playing just to understand this arc. Some of the new demands he resigns based on this one letter. Take a listen.
He should resign.
And should resign. And
he should resign and get help.
He's got to go. We already had Dianne Feinstein, and we already had Joe Biden.
If you're hiding from us what your capacity is, that has a direct impact on all of us. I mean, not just constituents of Pennsylvania. Senators are very powerful individuals.
So Crystal Ball and Glenn Greenwald now suddenly wanting him to resign says a lot after his support of Israel. Charlie, how many Democrats do you think are worried he's going to flip to be a Republican?
Oh, I don't think that's likely. I really don't. I've heard that before. I think they're more concerned about his change in policy positions.
They're angry.
They're angry, but it's also reflected in, like I just mentioned, in his polling in Pennsylvania. I mean, he is upside down with Democrats, 25% strongly disapproving of him. It's like 55 disapproved, 39 approved, just among Pennsylvania Democrats. That is his big problem right now.
Well, it's not really a problem. He's not running up for re-election.
Well, it's a real political problem, and of course, he's got, apparently, based on these comments, there are some problems perhaps with some of his colleagues who don't like his evolution.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we're trying to talk about this sensitively. I don't know anything about his health. I don't know what he's doing with his doctors.
Yeah.
But it's clear, though, that, like I said, though, it feels like maybe they need to reveal more about what he's doing with his health based on what his former chief of staff revealed to the New York Times.
They have an axe to grind. Good to see you, as always. Thank you very much. Keep up the great reporting, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.